If the low energies of these past few weeks of Venus and Mercury retrograde combined have been getting you down and slowing your everyday progress, you're not the only one, and you're definitely not alone. Hi, my name is Crystal Cedar, and today we're going to be going over some very interesting journaling topics that I discovered during meditation from these past few weeks that I would like to share because I feel that they are prompts that we all should probably be looking at in this new day and age in 2022. So this is my spiritual energy work, Happy Grimoire planner, and this is where I do all of my spiritual work. I used to keep a grimoire, but I no longer have used to do all the bujo junk journaling things. I also don't practice like that anymore, so I use a planner to keep it practical and also to make it a daily accountability versus something that I would just pull out during the Sabbats and the Esbats. And especially during this Venus and Mercury retrograde combination, this has been such an invaluable tool for me to use to not only be able to keep my sanity, but also to be able to balance out the energies in my energy field myself without having to rely on other people, other healers, other readers, or a million astrologers' opinions of what's going on today. So these are the dates for the Venus retrograde and the Mercury retrograde. The Venus retrograde began on December 19th, 2021 in the sign of Capricorn, and then it ends on January 29th, 2022, which is this coming week at the time of this filming. Mercury retrograde began on January 14th, so it just technically started about a week and a half ago in Aquarius, and then it will be also ending in Capricorn on February 3rd. So there's not a lot of space in between when both of them turn direct, and it's kind of like a crazy party going on in Capricorn right now because Mars will be also entering Capricorn this current week, and then it's just a lot of Capricorn energy. Capricorn's element is earth, even though it's represented by the sea goat. And for a lot of people, the earth element can be either a very grounding and cozy and kind of like Haigi life kind of element aspect in their lives, or for some people it could be very harsh and very serious and very intense, especially for those people who are identify their energy fields on the more air and water side. Anything with flow, like anchoring energy of the earth is something that sometimes can be a little intense and a little challenging. So that's to come. But during Venus retrograde, especially because it's the one that's been going on the longest, I've noticed a different style of doing self-care that's relevant to the times that we currently live in. So, for example, I've been keeping track of the Venus retrograde since it began in December. This is actually when Venus retrograde began. It actually began way before my wemoon datebook started. The wemoon datebook started, I believe, towards the beginning of January. And so I had to kind of like ninja my own astrological information sheet. And I wrote it down here on the day that the Venus retrograde began and also to when it ended. And every week, I've been monitoring what the daily elemental energies are to keep me on track. This is what it looks like in the wemoon datebook, how I've been adding the elemental energies every single day of the weeks. So here is the Venus retrograde beginning here. I've taken out my journaling worksheets like this to make it a little bit easier to understand in the wemoon. So this was for the technically the second week of Venus retrograde, actually the first week of Venus retrograde, and then I started writing it here in the margins, and then Mercury retrograde began right here. And it has been a really great tool for me to be able to open this before I even open my weekly planner, my regular everyday catch-all planner, to just get my energy right and balanced within my own energy field, because whatever I have on the books for the coming day, it always has to start with you. It always has to start with your energy, how you're feeling, and what tools you're going to need in order to tackle the day. So that's the Mercury retrograde right there. And then I've just been keeping track of it ever since. And then this is the current week that I'll be planning. These are the actual sheets that I used during the beginning of Venus retrograde in preparation. And from December because Venus retrograde began on December 19th, which was right in the middle of holiday season, if anybody can kind of think back that far. Venus retrograde is all about how to go within yourself and your own energy field and be aware of how your energy is being spent. Personal limits and boundaries is very huge, especially because this began during the holiday season. A lot of people are still recovering from that holiday season, depending on how things transpired. A lot of people were getting together with their family for the first time in a year or even 2 years due to the pandemic. And, energies can build up. So these were the top 3 priority things for me to think about during the period as it began. And then when Mercury retrograde added to this, Mercury retrograde basically takes this and applies it to almost like a communications level. Technology, social media, just everyday devices, I guess, backing up your hard drives and things like that. But also your relationship with technology and what part is it playing in your life. And this is professional life aside, because I know there are a lot of us that depend on technology to drive and facilitate their business every day for their jobs. However, when work is over and you're not on a clock and you're spending your free time, I noticed that there was a direct connection between the Venus retrograde and the Mercury retrograde about our relationship with social media and content in general. These are the carried over Venus retrograde thoughts from that initial green page. I even scheduled meditations and things for myself for self-care, specifically for certain dates and world events as they occurred. And then I was keeping track of my crystals of the week that I was using. This was the actual worksheet journaling side of the week that Mercury retrograde began. Mercury retrograde began right here. And again, I carried over the most important parts of the Venus retrograde sheet that I wanted to focus on for myself for the week. And then I changed up my crystals of the week here. And so now we're in the last few weeks and days of the double punch of Venus and Mercury retrograde. And some new things have come to light that I have noticed regarding content and how they may or may not be affecting our energy fields. I noticed that when I was journaling for this week, toxic energies through content. It is a real thing. We may not realize it as we're consuming the content, which is kind of creepy talk, just saying, especially if you're in energy work, because we all know there are negative entities out there that love to feed off of lower frequency and lower vibration energies. When we're depressed, when we're stressed, when we're in kind of like a fight or flight state, when we're not getting enough sleep, when there is tension between family members and friends, there are entities that actually feed off of those lower frequency and lower vibrations, and they don't make our energy fields feel any better. But more and more, I was noticing, especially for myself, that unfortunately, a lot of those entity energies were being kind of transmitted or kind of happening online, and especially through YouTube content. As an energy worker, I don't create content per se. I just like to share. This is my seva. My weekly plan with me is something that I offer to Spirit as my seva for 2022. And I don't really ask for likes, and I don't ask for subscribers, and I don't really do all of that drive. I may in the future, I don't know. But right now, I've noticed that a lot of the content creators during this period of Venus and Mercury retrograde have been hella extra toxic. Um, there have been a lot of enabling creators. So, for example, I used to follow a lot of content creators that did like the Dollar Tree hauls. um, Mainly because I was just curious to see like how much stuff people could buy from a dollar store and how they spend their money at a dollar store. But more and more, I was noticing how that culture of shopping halls was very toxic, especially right now in these times when there are a lot of people that are actively watching their budgets because there just isn't the flexible income that there was in the past, 5 years or so, or pre-pandemic. Everybody's living differently now. Everybody has different priorities now in their lives. And it's not necessarily, spending $50 at a dollar store when it was supposed to be like for the sake of, how much money, how many things can you get for maybe $20, or how many things you can get for like $30, or even just $15 or $10 at the dollar store. And I was noticing how it was these creators were enabling people to, hey, go check out your Dollar Tree store and figure out and find this exclusive thing. And so people are like getting in their cars and spending money on gas, which is not cheap right now, just saying, and going to multiple Dollar Trees in order to get one little thing because one content creator said that it's awesome. So that's just one example of enabling creators. Another thing that I noticed was toxic content itself. So let's take example again, the shopping haul creators. And this is for any shopping haul creators, whether the haul is for makeup or groceries or Dollar Tree or planner stuff or stationaries and things like that. A lot of the content that these people are creating is based on products that they were sponsored with. So they did not pay out of pocket for these items, and or they're like on a street team or on a social media team to promote a certain brand or a certain company. And yay, it's cute for marketing because, of course, I'm going to see this really cute thing I saw in a video by one of my favorite content creators and I'm going to want it. But knowing that that creator did not pay out of pocket for that, and I am, and maybe because of, I don't know, bad patterns and behaviors, I might go extra and shop extra more at this one place. It might not be the healthiest pattern or behavior for me. I want to support small business, but I don't support toxic content that's not honest, that's sponsored and doesn't say that it's sponsored until like the very end, or like it's kind of laid out on their Instagram but not necessarily in their YouTube video. So that's that. Another toxic content topic was that I was noticing, and this is actually from a friend who followed a lot of the makeup and kind of lifestyle content creators on YouTube about 3 or 4 years ago. They were actually a client and they were telling me about their videos where they would team up with other content creators to create drama or to create a fight about, one's talking crap about the other, and then the other's talking crap about the other, and then they show up at a function, and then all of a sudden it's like, are you team so-and-so or are you team so-and-so? And it's like all this makeup drama. And that is huge toxic content. A lot of people will say, oh, well, it's just content, it's just YouTube. But is it really fun to spend your free time watching that stuff when you could have been outside, maybe taking a quick walk or spending time with your family or with your kids or with your pets, instead of watching this bickering back and forth that's obviously scripted and obviously planned, and also spiraling into like this rabbit hole of, I gotta click all the videos now, I gotta go to see this content creator's side, and then I gotta go onto the other content creator's side and see their side of the story. So it's just not healthy. It's just very toxic. and also feeding drama entities. So a lot of these, so I didn't subscribe to the content creators, those makeup people that my client was talking about, but I had to watch a couple of them just to know what kind of entities we were dealing with here. And I noticed that they would say very almost like inhuman statements, just so that people would be so enraged that they would put a comment in the comment section, which everyone knows drives analytics and also drives interest. There's no such thing as bad publicity. This is like a terrible, terrible example of that. And so I would see in the comment section all this toxic, just garbage of bad name calling, and it was just horrible. It's awful. But it was done on purpose. It was done with a script. It was worked out beforehand. And so again, why are you wasting your time of your free time and energy watching this, participating in this? Why? From that, let's get into this. Let's be hella real. Toxic analytic driving on YouTube. So starting obvious crap for clicks. I kind of went over it a little bit over here with that makeup example. But it's kind of like that clickbait titling, when actually people have to watch halfway through the video to realize, oh, actually, it wasn't even what the title said. I just got suckered into clicking this stupid video because of what the title was. And that's not honest, and that's very tricky. And so therefore, I consider it low frequency and low vibration behavior. I don't think that that's very honest for your subscribers to be clicking on your videos, content creators out there, just for clicks, for your sake of your account. You're going to lose those subscribers because they're going to be like, oh, this was like a BS title for a clickbait video. And, you can only do that so many times. And then you're just like, unsubscribe. I'm not trying to watch this content. I'm not trying to have this content in my life right now. The other analytic driving that I mentioned up here, comment fishing. A lot of people will just say the stupidest things in the videos, obvious answer questions, to have the answers to be driven in the comment section. Do you think the sky is blue? Let me know in the comments below. Do you think air is good for us or bad? Let me know in the comments below. It's that kind of comment fishing that is draining your energy. Basically, this is all leading to how your energy is being drained in your off time, your free time, away from work, away from tending to life duties, house chores, taking care of kids, taking care of relatives, taking care of pets that we love as kids. And it's trying to keep you in a very low frequency place so that when you need the energy for better things in life, like your goals or your work or finding a new job or maybe excelling and going up to the next level in your profession, you won't have the energy to do that because all of this has been draining you in your off time. It's not fun. It's not recreational if it's not helping you and it's actually draining your energy. So I made these focus topics here to kind of mitigate these. So a lot of this toxic stuff that I discovered on YouTube, and I know there are people that have definitely realized this over the years, but I've never really seen a video about it. So thank you for those who realized this earlier, and let's just talk about it. Let's just be hella real. How do you balance out all of this? If what you're doing is constantly rabbit holing video after video after video on YouTube and you don't know why, you can't just put your phone down or you just can't put your tablet down from watching all of this stuff. Balance out the air energy. Remember in the beginning of this video when I mentioned the Mercury Retrograde and Venus Retrograde? There are a lot of people that are going through emotional stuff right now as a result of this double punch. And of course, when we retreat, natural place to go, online or on TV. I'm old, so that's that's kind of like how I feel. But TV now is actually content, like media content, whether it's on TikTok videos or Instagram reels or YouTube videos or what have you. Like, that's our retreat place. Like, that's where everybody has been going to as a sanctuary. And maybe during this period of time, that shouldn't necessarily be the 100% sanctuary space that we need to be holding our emotional energies in. And maybe we actually have to go outside and handle our business. If you are sensitive to air energy, like especially if you are a water element majority, or if you are a fire element majority person, there's not really any chi source from air element other than to remind yourself to breathe. And so find ways to balance out that extra air elemental energy, especially for this week of January 24th to January 30th, in the last few days of Mercury retrograde. Venus retrograde. Mercury retrograde won't be ending until February 3rd. Because it's not doing you any favors to stay in this very airy place. If you're feeling ungrounded, confused, foggy, dizzy, you're not really practicing good advice from people. You're just kind of fishing it out from different friends and family, and you're not even paying attention to what they're saying. You just want to feed off of their energy. Like, that is not good. That is bad. Which brings us back to those vampires, energetic vampires. And then not maybe reminding yourself to use personal limits and boundaries with people. Just leave that there. Staying motivated to goals. We're not even done with January yet, and I'm already noticing a lot of content creators and a lot of planners, because I like to watch a lot of planner videos. They're already off course from their goals, especially budget goals. And, it's a lot of the attitude in the past several years before the pandemic was like, I'm having a human experience. I'm only human. It's fine. It's okay. I'll figure it out. But are you really going to figure it out? Because of all this happening, it doesn't really seem like this is happening, So maybe revisiting and staying motivated to your own personal goals versus worrying about what everybody else is doing in their lives. You are the only person that is responsible for your energy field. You are not obligated to handle other people's energy fields unless you're a parent. In which case, then you're going to be responsible for those little ones that you're raising. Staying organized. Like, everybody goes big with these planner lineups and, what journals they're using, what planners they're using, how they're going to use it. But they say, kind of like breaking a bad habit or starting a new habit, like, you have to practice it every day. You can't just be like, cool, I already put out my lineup video and that's it for 2022. Goodbye. Until the next Happy Planner release. Then I'll check out my goals and stuff. Try every day to go back to your planners and just get mentally organized. I'm not talking about organizing your shelves and stuff, because that is a whole other animal, but just staying organized in your mind. So I'm going to definitely edit that and add in your mind as much as possible. Keeping up with your planning as much as possible. These are actually two together. And then another really great tip for myself, and maybe for other people that may help them out during the last few weeks and days of this Mercury and Venus retrograde, is try to wake up early or earlier than you're used to, which, it might mean a routine change. You may have to go to bed earlier. You may have to stop or limit watching all of this crap on YouTube and other, media platforms. You're going to feel a lot better about yourself when you're going to bed early and you're waking up early to do all your planner stuff, to check in with yourself, maybe even a check-in with a spiritual planner that you may be keeping for yourself. Even if you're just getting like the Spiral wemoon date book and you're just following along with my weekly plan with me's, or just writing down notes for yourself in a very specific, like, energy only, planetary transits only, like no doctor's appointments, no kids games, no grocery shopping lists or anything, just only your spiritual and energetic kind of record for yourself, it makes a big, big difference. You're doing a different level of self-care than just a self-care journal. I got really frustrated with the self-care journals, especially the ones that were being released by the Happy Planner, because they were repetitive. I don't feel like, for me anyway, they were asking the questions that I really needed to stay accountable to what the problems were, and the consistency and the accountability that I needed to show up for myself in order to change those unhealthy patterns and behaviors. But this sure does. This definitely does. And it's not like a different religion thing. This is just elemental energy. Energy is everywhere. You know, it's what we're made of. It's what we practice, all of us. Like, we would not be on this planet without energy. And so, yes, it is witchy, but it's a different kind of witchy. It's like an inner divine feminine witchy. It's like, hi, remember before civilization and religions and indoctrination and things like that? We had one religion, and that was love. And we had one basic mother, and that was Mother Earth. And I am indigenous, and so I do practice this ancient way where fostering a relationship with Mother Earth, Yamaya, with Father Sky, our star families and our star relatives, like, it's important. And I believe this is where we are going in the future. With these younger kids nowadays, they're so much more brilliant and more wise than we ever were from the 70s, 80s, or 90s. And we kind of have to step up for ourselves and show up in a different way that we're used to. Even all of my older coven elders would say, like, I need to know more about elemental energy just for myself. And so even if you're just in the top of your weekly planner, writing down the elements of the day so that you can be prepared, so that you know what's coming. If you know that there's going to be a big, huge air day and you're a very emotional water sign and everybody is just being hella harsh or just miscommunicating everywhere, or you're not feeling heard, or you're not feeling recognized, please prepare for this day. When you're getting your plans, in line, like, maybe this is not going to be the best day to go out. Maybe this is a day that you may not want to drink, or may not want to smoke out, or maybe not want to socialize. Maybe this is a day that you want to take a self-care to meditate, to sit with nature, or to do a very nice, like, walk in nature, or walk along the beach, or walk along the river or the lake. I understand with weather, it's not the easiest thing to do right now, but at least it's something that you can prepare for earlier in the week versus, oh, this horrible day is happening right now. Okay, well, hi. There were definitely plenty of warnings that you could have prepared for. An invaluable tool that has been definitely helping me in this month of January has been using the resources on the actual wemoon website. I subscribe to their newsletter, and every week they send a newsletter with the overall outlook for the week and also the weekly Starcodes. So there's the current ones, the previous ones, and then the current sun sign year at a glance, in which case we've just gone through, or we've just entered Aquarius season. I love this resource because you can check in for yourself and journal with it depending on what works best for you. So this is basically like a weekly outlook. This is created by Heather Rowan Robbins. And I really like her energy and how she kind of gives guidance for the week. It's very approachable. It's very accessible. It's not a lot of crazy references that I will not understand. It's things that we can definitely access and kind of reflect on and apply to our own lives. So this is how the star codes look. It's dated. I actually haven't filled in the rest of my current week here, but what I've been doing is I have been filling in, let's go with a date that I already have. So this was the first week that I started journaling this way. I took my classic Happy Planner dashboard layout from last year that I didn't use, and I repurposed it to use for this for this year, just picking out the months that line up with the date. I believe this is like May of 2021, which totally matches up with January of 2022. But what I've been doing is I've been writing highlights of each of the star codes daily, just as they apply to me or what resonate with me, so that I can reflect on it later, and then also to match it up with the energies of the day. Like, for example, let's go back to that crazy air day that I pointed out in the wemoon. That day, morning is slow and serious. Let's find it here. It also gives kind of like some planetary information as well. And so I just wrote down what resonated with me so that I could have it as something to reflect on for my journaling later. But I didn't, so I just kind of left it at that. And so you can also access these weekly star codes just on the regular website of wemoon.ws. And then, so I'll be doing the same for this upcoming week here, and I'll be filling in some of the star codes. So what's great is that it gives you the star codes for the week, and it kind of like gives you a pep talk that you actually have to read instead of watch or listen to somebody tell you, because we also live in a time of podcasts as well. For me, I like to read things and then write them down. Like, that's how I learn. That's just kind of like my pace. And it gives you kind of like, again, that pep talk that you may need to help plan out the week for yourself, whether it be professional, personal, or both. That it can be challenging to rest, complete, and review as the week progresses. And then here we go. Mars joins Venus in Capricorn on Monday, and then Mercury retrograde back into determined, goal-oriented Capricorn on Tuesday. Y'all, I'm telling you, everybody is going into this Capricorn party. And those that have Capricorn in their top 3, so your sun sign, your moon sign, or your rising sign, this may apply to you. For me, I actually have Capricorn as my rising and my ascendant, so I'm excited because I love Capricorn energy. It's an energy that I've been trying to learn and connect with more because it keeps me focused and driven, motivated. Also, too, it makes me really stick to my personal and professional limits and boundaries. My sun sign is Cancer, and so before I used to be that pushover that used to take care of everybody for free and help everybody as they need it, and I'm not doing that anymore. My energy is way too valuable, and I am way too tired to do all of that nowadays. Plus, too, it's not healthy. It's toxic for people that feed off of other people instead of recharging from nature or from crystals. Like, we ain't about that life right now. We go into it further. Venus will be turning direct on January 30th, and then Mercury turns on to the 5th. But then there's a shadow period for both, and so we will still be feeling it, or I still feel it like 7 days after, up to 7 days after, and so it takes me a minute to readjust energetically. On top of all the other planetary things going on these next couple of weeks, we also have several holidays coming up. Those that are pagan like myself will be celebrating Imbolc, or midwinter on February 2nd. Christians will be celebrating it as Candlemas. I celebrate it as Sagansar, which is Mongolian Lunar New Year. And that is going to be a big thing. Luckily in the wemoon, they do have kind of like a quick description of that. 2022 is the year of the black water tiger. Very emotional, very, very emotional Lunar New Year up ahead. And as a practitioner, I don't feel the energies shift until that day of February 1st. And so right now we're still swimming in that metal buffalo energy year. And there's a lot of preparation that I'll need to be doing for my home and for myself on that day building up. So it's a lot going on, and it's going to be very interesting to see how you will be preparing for all of these events on your free time, and who and what you're spending your energy on in your free time, because your time is valuable. A very, very, very large part of self-care energetically and elementally during a Mercury or Venus retrograde is the kind of hygiene that you keep with your energy field. A very huge priority and emphasis that I would recommend is on how you cleanse your energy field. There are many different ways that you can cleanse your energy field. The most popular and kind of commonly taught way is to smudge through burning incense or natural smudge like this. This is a combination of cedar and white sage with a little bit of Palo Santo in the middle. But a lot of people are either allergic to the smoke or they're maybe not necessarily out of the energetic self-care closet and they don't feel comfortable burning a smudge around people. I would like to offer you water sprays. Creating a spray to help you kind of navigate the day, whether that's at work or working from home, is a really quick and effective way to clear energy field in between clients, in between customers, in between kind of like your hours in the day, or just when you're starting to feel weird, funky energies land on you, like bad conference calls or that funky coworker that keeps putting all their work off to you, like spray. Just pardon yourself for a second and just mist. This is one that I've been working with for a while. These are the ingredients that are included in this particular spray by wolfspiritsage.com, including oils of sage, eucalyptus, cedar leaf, juniper berry, and geranium. So you would just spray this over your hands, over your wrists, over your arms, over your head. In your field is going to be more effective than directly on your skin. So give yourself kind of like a really wide berth as far as spraying this. And I would recommend spray it as much as you need until you start to feel like kind of like chills down your spine, so that you understand like, okay, whatever is on me, it's gone. If you cannot use smoke and you cannot use spray, you can use crystals to clear yourself. And it doesn't take a very large wand. I know a lot of people have wands nowadays. A lot of really great and talented artists on Etsy and online have been creating some amazing crystal wands. But for just practical use, you can pick up any kind of significantly sized crystal and use it to use as a wand to clear your energy field. You can use it all over your body. You can use it on your crown chakra. When you're starting to feel stressed or you're starting to feel anxiety, you can sweep over your heart or over your heart and throat chakra, which seems to be where everybody's getting hit right now during this Venus and Mercury retrograde time. This example is just amethyst, but you can use any crystal. You can use selenite, you can use obsidian, you can use smoky quartz, clear quartz. I would recommend maybe not the clear quartz though. If you're going to use a clear stone, definitely just use the selenite. It's the most powerful one for clearing anyway. This is the time to use your clusters, your combination altar stones, your big boys, or your very oatmeal cookie looking specimens. This is one that I had featured in a previous week, I believe. And I'm still using it. It's going to be my go-to until the very end of both of the retrogrades and once Mars is very comfortably in Capricorn. This cluster is 4 different minerals. It's fluorite, clear quartz or white quartz, calcite, white calcite, and pyrite over the calcite formation. It kind of makes it look like dogtooth calcite, and then it kind of like coats it. This is pyrite. This is another example of pyrite. And what this iron ore or metal mineral does is it adds to deflection and protection and grounding during these uncertain times. And y'all, it is hella uncertain. There are world events, there's politics, there's talks of battles and things like that. And we need a way to separate those fear frequencies from our daily lives so that we can still function and not just kind of succumb to our anxieties and depressions. So that's pyrite, basically, and fluorite of these two. But cluster stones and your big altar stones are going to be very, very imperative. One of my favorite stones to recommend and to use for my own personal use during Mercury retrogrades are lepidolite. This is lepidolite that's been polished. Lepidolite comes from South America, and you can pretty much find it all over the world. This is mica, which is a very thin and flaky kind of mineral. If you've taken a geology class, chances are you've probably tested hardness with a piece of mica because it's one of the softest mineral elements that there is as far as rock formations. This is obviously a very large, exaggerated size of lepidolite. And then there's black tourmaline here in between the layers. Because I'm a practitioner, my tools have to reflect the capacity of work that I do. I couldn't just be a practitioner with like 5 or 6 of these small ones. I have to have like the proper size for my rituals, and then also too for ceremonies and for my practice. So you don't need to have a very large piece like this, but if you do, yay, awesome, bust them out instead of like letting them get dusty or even worse on a windowsill where they don't belong at all. The heat can fade and damage stones like this, like amethyst, like the fluorite, and then you'll end up with just a faded stone. I don't charge my stones by the sun at all. I charge it by the moonlight, or just by larger pieces like this cluster piece charges all my other stones, including this one, during this Mercury retrograde. Lepidolite helps to address your crown chakra, especially and particularly if you have and unfortunately suffer from anxiety. With all of the news and the media lately about troops starting to mass up around Eastern countries like China and Russia, and Omicron and COVID and all the things, on top of the ongoing crazy weather that we've been having here in the US with the East Coast snowstorms, the ongoing droughts on the West Coast, our lack of rain, like even that has a really big impact on your energy field. And it can lend to fear frequencies and vibrations that may not be beneficial for your energy field. Lepidolite helps to address any blockages or any residual energies that are in your crown chakra, and it helps to remove those lower frequency, lower vibrations in your crown chakra with higher frequencies and vibrations. The black tourmaline, right there, and then also in the raw piece around the sides, helps to provide the protection, grounding, and centering that you will need in the process of replacing all of those lower frequencies and lower vibrations in your crown chakra. If anything, try to meditate with it. If you don't really understand like how to remove lower frequency and lower vibration energies other than just doing these, that's okay too. If you're meditating with your crystals and you're meditating or praying or doing your regular religious practice while having or wearing crystals, you will feel an automatic difference in the effectiveness of that prayer or that meditation. And then last but not least, I would recommend for people to dress their altars for Imbolc. And Imbolc symbolizes kind of like the ending of winter and the beginning of spring. I chose the pine cone because throughout this whole winter season, which hasn't been very long, it's reminding me of the seeds that I plant and also the seeds that I had planted in the past, and maybe to revisit that forest or revisit that field of the seeds that I had planted previously and maybe just got too busy to check back at, or maybe just forgot. In like real talk, it's like revisit those older previous goals and dreams that maybe you had 5 years ago, 10 years ago. Maybe they're easier to accomplish in today's time versus at that time. Maybe the technology didn't even exist back then for that goal that you had wanted to do for yourself, and now is a better time to do that. So this is my one of the natural elements that I will be using on my Imbolc altar for this year, which is on February 1st. And then I'm creating a totally different situation for my Lunar New Year altar. I hope that these journaling suggestions and crystal recommendations for the rest of this Mercury and Venus retrograde find you in a well and better situation that you were in possibly before you had started watching. And I encourage everyone to start that journey of self-care energetically, maybe not necessarily spiritually, but energetically at least, this year in 2022, because the year's not over yet, and we'll never know what's going to be happening in the world. Maybe doing something and establishing a routine like this early on in the year will come up big in the spring and the summer to come. May we all aspire to find energetic balance and connection to our own loving spirit and inner brightness today. Until next time, friends in pause, please take care during these last few days of Venus and Mercury retrograde. And remember, you are always in charge of your own energy field. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.